right, ladies, let's get this party started. And it is a party tonight because it is our incredible guest speaker's birthday. Can you believe that Sonita has chosen to spend her birthday evening investing her heart and soul back into our Project She community? And for that, I am forever grateful, and how lucky and blessed are we. I know there's quite a few of us that will be watching this at a later stage after events have, finished up at the centres this evening. So for those of you that are online, thank you and welcome. Welcome. It's such a special webinar. So special. I feel really lucky to be having Sonita again so close to the weekend that was, and having her with us, especially on her birthday. So forever grateful for that. Before I hand it over to Sonita, I just really wanted to take a moment to acknowledge and congratulate all of you for the progress that you have made so far in the series. We really are just over halfway, and with each week we're working through different layers, different emotions, different things that are going to be popping up. And sometimes that can feel confronting, that can feel overwhelming. Sometimes you can get incredible joy from going there and, peeling off those deeper layers. But I really just wanted to take just a moment to acknowledge you for going there. For those of you that have given me feedback on things that you're uncovering, just so proud of your progress. And, just know that when you allow yourself to go there, and those of you that have gone there will know what I mean, you open up that space for you to allow and receive all of the great things that, are waiting for you. And sometimes it's just our own head, and sometimes, resistance that kind of gets in the way of us progressing through to that next version of ourselves, and really evolving. So, and on the contrary, if you've just managed to make it onto this webinar and that's all that you've done, fantastic. You can start just here, right here. All the exercises are waiting for you. All the recordings of everything up until this point are in the group. So if it hasn't been the right time for you to keep up with everyone, don't worry. Go through it at your own pace. You've got plenty of time, and just allocate some time as a gift to yourself to really start to go through it. So that's going to be exciting. I'm just going to check everything's all good because I'm seeing a few chats pop up here. Oh, yep, beautiful. Happy birthday. Lovely. Now I have to mention the weekend because it was incredibly special. Here's some photos for you to have a look at if you haven't seen them on the page. This was at our new venue, which allows for so much expansion. The energy was wonderful. We had a beautiful breakfast, and of course, our guest speakers, which they just absolutely blew us away. So I'll start with Chris. I know that she can't be online until a little bit later this evening. She's running events, but Chris, seriously, once again, I know we've spoken, but absolutely shared from the heart. It was another layer from you, another level, and it was an honour for us that were in the room that got to hear, those absolute gems and just the gold from your book. We can't wait to read it. Thank you for sharing the journey with us and allowing us into that space. And, we all evolved from that session, just absolutely incredible. So thank you on behalf of all of us again. And Sonita, just guiding us step by step, not only through your own personal journey, but all of the She Wisdom presentation that you did put together for us was just incredible. And, really step by step teaching us how to just allow our own light to shine. It was real, it was raw. We absolutely loved it. And again, just feeling so incredibly excited to have you with us again tonight. So, now, tonight, we're here, and I'm going to stop talking because I don't want to take up too much of Sonita's precious time. She has offered to connect with us again, and just to be really clear, yes, this is a follow-up from the weekend, but it was also for a lot of our regional and interstate and international ladies that obviously couldn't join us on Sunday. And I know I can see on the call right now, we've got the Canadians that have logged on. I have no idea what time it is for you guys, but welcome. We have our girls from Western Australia and, of course, from Newcastle. I hope I said that right. And all over the world, we've got women coming together. So really, really special for you to be able to have this experience with Sonita as well. So How I introduced Sonita on the weekend, just for those of you that weren't there, Sonita has been a lighthouse for me through many years of my life now, a long, long time. She helped me transition, from really that operating from that space of fear just to trusting love, trusting faith, trusting that, everything is a journey and meant to be. And she walked me through really setting myself free. And that's what she does. She shines that light just a couple of steps in front of you so that you can make the decisions that's really best for you. So she's so much more than a life coach. I don't think that term actually, really does her justice. But for me, she's just been a light. So that is Sonita. She's a mentor to so many people, a spiritual mentor. She's an incredible speaker. She's an author, a producer, and we were lucky enough to watch her award-winning short film on Sunday as well, which I think had us all in tears. It was just wonderful. And I'm going to hand the call over to Sonita in just a moment, and I'll unmute her and put her video on so that you can see her beautiful face. But if you have any questions that come up throughout her sharing and through her, speaking this evening, pop them in the chat box as we're going along. And at the end of the call, what we'll do is have a look at a few questions and see what ones that, we can address. So what I will do now is find the beautiful Sonita. Here she is. I've just unmuted you. Hello.
Hello. How are you going?
Great. How are you? Happy birthday.
Thank you. 45. It's like, yes, it's all good. It's all good. Thank you, everybody, for having me back today. It's really exciting. When I said to the kids before, I'm going to go back and I'm working again. So if you can hear them in the background, they're playing music, they're watching basketball, and they may even pop in. So if they do, I'm apologising in advance, but they're very sticky beaks and they love getting their face on camera, always. So if one of them happens to come down, it'll be like, what are you doing? Or I forgot. So just a pre-warning there. Sunday was amazing. You guys created such a beautiful environment, such a beautiful atmosphere, and I have to just really say to you, that's the first time I've been in a room with women where I've actually felt a genuine and heartfelt connection, not only to me but to each other, and just love, just pure love. And that is such a rare thing to have. So well done to each and every one of you for just pouring your heart and soul, pouring your support, but also just acknowledging that everybody's on their own journey and we don't have to compete. We just have to support one another. And speaking of journeys, one of the things when I was looking at what I wanted to talk about tonight that I didn't get to talking about because I, always do that, always tend to ramble. But one of the things that I didn't talk about was we touched upon it briefly with the whole idea of change and how change can be scary. And if we take just a moment to go back to Sunday, where I sort of said to people, look, what would you do if I asked you to get up and move, change seats? And everybody froze and went, oh. And one or two of you said, yep, not a problem. The rest of you were like, but I don't want to because I'm safe and I'm comfortable here. And I wanted to expand upon that a little bit because one of the things in talking to a lot of people and in knowing a lot of your journeys is that each of you are moving into a completely different phase of your life that is scary and that brings about so much change, not only on a living environmental level, but also on a personal level, on an emotional level, on a spiritual level. And that is very, very scary and difficult. And so I wanted to have a bit of a chat about that and kind of explain some of the things that I've been going through in the last month, probably in the last 2 months, that is an extension of what I was talking about when my ex-husband decided that he wasn't going to see the kids anymore. And I had to then take a really good look at things. And over the last probably 3 to 4 months, I've made big changes. I live in the house I grew up in. I have been here since I was little. I moved away from a while, and then when my dad passed away, I bought the house and I came back. And I feel that I needed to do that because I needed some healing. I needed to feel grounded and protected, and this was the space to which I could really do that. I then also didn't move out. So my kids go to my primary school that I went to. And my daughter goes to the secondary college that I went to. And I started to look at all of this and I'm thinking, what have I created? I've created my own little, pocket of security. It all centered around this idea of operating from this house, from here. And for the last probably about 5 or 6 years, the biggest thing that terrified me throughout the whole divorce, throughout the whole proceedings, was that I would lose my house. That was the worst thing in the world that could happen to me. I was not ready for it. I was not ready to let go of my father. I was not ready to let go of my love for this area, my sense of identity, and mainly the protection that this offered me, because it offered me massive protection. And I wanted to sort of sit back and take a moment to think about what I needed. There was an incident about 2 weeks ago, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this. I probably didn't, because my daughter would have been there and she probably would have just opened up a whole world of hurt for her. So I probably wouldn't have gone there, but they're not listening, so we can talk about it now. My daughter catches the train to Box Hill from Mitcham every day to school, and her dad, we live in Mitcham and he lives in Vermont. So it's very close for people who don't know, like, this area. And for the international people, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's like the next suburb on, is what it is. And sometimes she bumps into him on the train. And in previous occasions, it's been very amicable. It's been, hi, Dad, hi, how's your brother or sister, blah, 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 blah. And then in one time it got a bit creepy where he kind of attached himself to her and followed her to school. And I said, look, he's obviously just really interested. Just go with it. Be polite. You love him. And you're happy that he's there. In this particular instance, she got on the train and he was sitting down and he saw her and he ignored her. He turned his face away and looked out the window and then looked down at his phone. So as she was getting off the train, because Jamie's a bit feisty, and she yells out, see you, Dad. And he looked up, looked at her, acknowledged she was there, and then looked away. And it broke her heart, broke me, and I'd been, really dreading a situation like this. And it prompted me once again to look at it. And all my fears and all my insecurities came up, what do we do? Where do I go? How do I make this work? What's the problem here? What's going on? We need to be free of him. We need to be free of all the memories, of all the connection, everything. But at the same time, I didn't want to let go of the one thing that I never wanted to lose in life, which was this house. Because this house meant that I was secure. This house meant that I was loved. This house had my dad in it. So I never really had to let go of him, as did everyone else. And everybody else in my family didn't. And the more I started to look at these things, the more I started to realise that I'd basically recreated a lot of my life based around this house, with the kids going to the school, and then the secondary college is really good for them, so that's a good idea. But in order to make things a bit balanced and in order to help them, I had to make the very difficult decision of putting the house on the market, which was devastating but empowering at the same time. So whilst when I made that decision, I was like, oh, great decision. It's a good decision. It's going to be great for all of us. We'll get out and we'll have a new beginning and we'll make all these new memories and we'll get closer to the girls' school and we'll move far away from Vermont and they can go on the bus and we'll get an amazing school for Noah. So I'd actually started to think about the possibilities and look at all the positives rather than the negatives. And then slowly the negatives came in. What happens if you can't sell it? What happens if it doesn't go? What are you going to do without this house? How are you going to do this? And that doubt just ate away and it exhausted me because I'd wake up in the middle of the night fraught with worry about how I was going to do all of this, rather than understanding that all I had to really do was continue to make the decision for the change to happen and not fight it. That when I was in that change, I didn't even know myself. I was scared. I cried a lot because I was grieving the loss of this house and grieving all the possibilities. I had to also remember that this was also me accepting my marriage was a failure. my marriage wasn't going to work. It didn't go to work. I wasn't going to have happily ever after. Not in this instance. Not saying I never will. Well, at that stage, I probably thought I never would. But not saying that I never would, but just saying, you know, this represented so much more emotionally and mentally. So when we do have change, I can see you there. When we do have change, it makes us look at everything emotionally and mentally. And I really went to a very, very scary place mentally, because I was so scared about these changes that really aren't that big in the big scheme of things, but were massive for me, because it signified the end of one thing and the beginning of another. So I tried to just really look at it. And even now, I keep telling people I'm going to sell the house, because I'm telling them and I'm telling me, because that's what we're doing. And then people go, oh, you're crazy. And I go, no, it's the best decision I've made, because we get to have our own fresh start and we get to have our own new beginning. And we also do that. And then the kids can decide how they want to go about looking at that relationship with their dad, but they're not here being reminded of that every day. And by selling the house, I'm also cutting all the cords to a past that just doesn't work for us anymore. It's become toxic. It's become negative. So when you're in the midst of change, it isn't easy, and it feels awkward, and it feels dark, and it feels scary. But you've got to keep on thinking about why you made that change and why you want it and what that represents. Because for me, it represents peace of mind. It represents going from, you know, quite a large house to a small house, which suits us better. We're on top of each other all the time, and we live in basically half the house, because that's how we operate. So I don't need 2 living areas. I just need 1 living area where everybody can go in. And I'd rather have bedrooms that I can put them into so I can separate. But for them, it's exciting, because Noah gets to then explore the opportunities that he can have at different primary schools. Schools that offer him things academically and basketball-wise, and, you know, give him that sense of fresh start, which is what I think we were all wanting, but we're all so terrified that we're going to lose a massive part of ourselves. And then I kind of explained to them that we've already separated from the house and we're scared about change. But if we don't do it, we're going to be unhappy, and that's not healthy, because being unhappy is really unhealthy, and it keeps you stagnant. It keeps you questioning. It stops you believing that you can, and believing that you can make those dreams a reality. And it can be something as simple as quitting a job and be starting your own business. Like many of you are starting your own business, and you're not really sure what to do with it or where it's going, or am I doing the right thing? Have I got enough of this? Have I got enough of that? Is there enough? Am I going to make enough money? Am I going to be successful? And all those doubts and all those fears are normal, but we consider them to be abnormal because we're meant to be happy all the time. Change is not happy. Result of change is happy. But change is not happy, change is hard. And if you sit down and just wait for change to come to you, it's not going to happen. You'll sit in that change for however long. And I always talk about this with a lot of clients who are, you know, looking at relationships and thinking about whether or not this relationship is healthy. You know, I don't want to break up my family. I don't want to separate. I don't want to be alone. And I always explain to them that, is it any different from what you're feeling right now? And the answer is no. Will it be better? Yes. How do I do that? By taking one step at a time. But the first goal in change is to actually look at what emotionally and mentally ties you to the position you're in at the moment, and then look at what you're fearing and face the fear. Because 9 times out of 10, when you do that, it becomes something that's not fearful. It becomes something that's really, really empowering and pushes you to that next level. I always imagine when I was making the decision about the house, I took over the house when my father passed away, so I didn't have to do a lot of the grieving that the others did. I was able to come here and seek solace and grounding and protection, and I believe that the house served its purpose. you know, my intuition, my spiritual guidance all said to me, the house has served the purpose. You now have to go into the big wide world. And I said, I don't want to. I want to leave here. I don't want to go in the big wide world because it's scary. And once again, I heard, you have to. And if you don't, we'll spit you out. So things like exploding taps happened. And kitchen sinks exploding, me covered, drenched in water, standing there going, okay, I get it, we have to go. And then I was telling that story to my sister today, and she's just looking at me, and I go, I just knew we had to go, because if not, doors weren't locking, door handles were coming off, things that shouldn't be breaking. And it was telling me that our time here was done. The house needed to make room for the new family that was coming here to create memories. We needed to now go to our next home and our next place for the next part of the journey. So as much as it's scary, and as much as I'm still sitting here going, how am I going to do this? I know that I will do it. But I also know that I have to have complete faith in myself, and I have to have an idea of what it is that I want to do and not want to do. But sometimes you just have to jump off the cliff in order to put your feet on new ground. And that's really, really, really important. And I think that, you know, by doing what we do, we teach our children, we teach the people around us, we allow for us to inspire other people to embrace the change rather than reject it, and then go with it, even though we know it's going to be uncomfortable and it's going to be scary, and you're going to be absolutely beside yourself emotionally, and you'll go up and down. But the great thing is that you're going to go through all of that and come out the other end better, because that's what change does. The great thing for us is that we get to do that, but you've also got an incredible support system around you that allows for you to be able to gather that information and support resources, use each other, talk to each other, share your ideas, share the triumphs. And if you get scared about something 20 times, so be it. You know, it's almost like somebody will say to me, didn't you just go through that like 2 days ago? And I go, yeah, it's back again. It's back again, because it resurfaces. Insecurities never, ever go away. Never think they do. They just hide and then become activated as we engage in new situations. So I might deal with something, and then I evolve, I change, and then I'm dealing with it again, but I'm looking at it differently now. And that's change. That's how change happens. Because every time you go into a new situation or if you're looking back on something, say for me, for the house, the first time I was terrified. I'm not doing that. I'm never selling this house. I'm going to live here until I die. Then all of a sudden I sort of started to get more information, and then I started to look at the house, and then I said, you know, I actually am going to sell the house. And that was massive, because I thought, whoa, look at how far I've come, but I've got new information now. I've got a new sense of self-awareness, a new sense of self-belief. I know now where I want to go. And it's important for me to be able to continue on that pathway. So change is always scary, and it doesn't matter what level of change this is. Some people have massive changes, and some people, it's funny, I can't handle TV shows, especially TV shows that grab my heart. Sons of Anarchy, all-time favourite show. I still to this day cannot watch one episode of that thing without bawling my eyes out, because the ending of that was so dramatic for me, because I became so emotionally invested, and it was an ending that I wasn't ready for. It's like, you're going to take that out of my life, you know. And it was the same with, what was it recently? There was another TV series, and I texted my friend and I said, they can't take it away from me. They have to give it back to me. And that's the thing about change. We don't like it, but it also helps us to move on and understand that after every time we've experienced something, it's almost like a completion of a mini journey. So that mini journey gets us to a new point. And a lot of us are very reluctant to let go of our past, to move on from the past, to move on from the present. But the present is meant for creation. It only exists in a moment, and then it's gone. It becomes the past. So you can't base everything on what it is. It's funny, every time Emily sends me this little this little picture of, I always look at it as the, you know, the two princesses from Frozen, right? And they're high-fiving and they're doing that. Every time I say this to her, I go, I'm breaking out in song here and I'm singing with pride. Let it go. And that's become a bit of a mantra. It is about letting go, because that's a massive part of change. So when you need a bit of motivation, just watch Frozen, especially that part of it. And if you're running on a treadmill, amazing song to run to, particularly if you're trying to move some of that old energy and bring in that new energy and really create new belief systems, because change happens on every level. It is not just an environmental thing. It is mental, emotional, physical. It is the way that we perceive. It is everything. And we can be afraid of it, or we can embrace it and embrace the fear. And therefore the fear becomes a teacher rather than an obstacle. And that's really important too. I think I've just chewed your ear off for how many minutes now?
No.
A while.
Flowing. Just let it flow.
It was. That was just like verbal diarrhea in a way.
Let me. Did you want me?
Sorry.
Did you want to
see if there's maybe do some questions?
Yes, perfect. All right, ladies. So we've got the chat box here. Let's hit Sonita up with a couple of burning questions, and because there's so many gems there, I'm just taking some notes. You know, I love that concept of sometimes you just have to jump, embracing change, don't resist it, go with it, come out the other end better. The present is meant for creation. How's that for a statement? You know, let it go. Change happens on every level, and fear becomes a teacher. So, I mean, I think maybe if I reflect on the biggest thing that I think, Sonita, you've helped me through was definitely when I needed to detach from my ego of having, you know, this successful business, having everything looked great from the outside, and my ego was like, yeah, this is great, it's all set up, but why am I so unhappy? You know, I used to come to you just sad, and I wouldn't know why I was so sad. And when we identified that the change needed to happen, which was huge change for my ego, no, not really once we put a few steps in place, it wasn't that much of a change, but I guess from my perspective, that for me was, the ego was probably my biggest challenge. And then I just got to follow my heart. So on that as a topic, you know, how would you, I guess, advise the girls to perhaps, you know, listen to, is this actually my ego? Is this my heart? How do I decide where to make this decision from?
It's really hard, because when you start getting into that place of ego, and that ego becomes very central and very connected to your perception of success, and ego is very also connected to how people perceive you. So what it all comes down to is, am I more worried about what other people think, or am I more worried about what I think? And a lot of the internal stuff happens within the mind, but the mind becomes very jumbled when you're in the midst of change. Plus, if you've got different aspects of yourself fighting against each other. And one of the things that I always say to people is write what's in your mind. Put it down on paper. Don't let any thought escape. Write it down and put it down so that you can see your thinking. You can see how you're feeling, and therefore you can start to make informed decisions about what you want to do. There is nothing more powerful than you becoming in control of your own mind, in the sense of, you understand your pros and cons. You understand what this does and what it serves. The ego is useful in pushing us, in driving us into our need to succeed. It becomes negative when it starts to compare or want to be the best, because then it all unravels and you get quite confused about the intention and about how this benefits you. So when you're going through this, it's important to stand. I always get a sticky notes, great best friend in the world. Have a book that you keep with you, have a journal, have a book, and write down what it is, that you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're seeing, what you're fearing, because fear will come and we will turn around and say, oh, that's fear. And I always say to people, what do you mean that? What are you actually scared of? Well, I'm scared of everything. No, tell me what you're really scared of. And once we start unraveling like the tight fist of fear, we actually see that there's layers to it. And it's when you can open it up that you can actually tackle each one individually. Fear cannot be addressed as a collective. Fear must be addressed singularly with the connection of how it affects everything else. So when you're going through that and you're trying to work out what the ego is doing, the ego is trying to protect something within you, something that you don't want to lose, something that you're afraid of. Figure out what you're afraid of by breaking it down into simplistic things. When I was fearful of leaving the house, what was I fearful of? I was fearful of being bare naked out in the big wide world with no protection from anything from my past. I was afraid that people were going to think of me as a failure because I didn't live in Mitcham anymore and I didn't have a big house. I was afraid that people were going to look at me differently because I had 3 kids and they would pity me. And so my ego was more about what everybody else was thinking rather than what I cared. I didn't care about where I lived as long as I was happy with the kids. Well, I kind of do care where I live, but it's actually breaking it down. And so when I started looking at, okay, what does the house represent? Well, the house doesn't represent anything. What do the memories represent? What is it that you get from here that you can't get from elsewhere? And then writing everything down. The only way to really, really engage your mind and to see it is to have it as a physical, because we are not like abstract learners. We're concrete learners. We have to have things in front of us. The sticky notes make it kinesthetic. Mentions can move around, so you can shuffle things. Yep, that can go with that, can go with that. So always doing things like a mind board is really, really important in helping you figure that out, and then figure out those aspects of your personality that are inhibiting the change, inhibiting you, or accelerating you. What's empowering me? What's not empowering me? How do I turn my ego into a useful tool? How do I make that fuel all of these belief systems and get it sort of motivated to instigate the change rather than block the change by looking at what could be and then what we need to do. So that's to me really important, is that, and I do this with a lot of people, is that we actually map their thinking. And it's a very, very simple and powerful tool. Even back when I was teaching, we used to do it all the time with the kids. And you'd be amazed when you started looking at the feeling side of it and the emotional side of it, how much actually came out and how much was able to be modified or looked at or dealt with by just having a conversation or having that moment where you go, got it, wow. Okay, got it. It's time. I need to work on that. And then you have your next little goal to work on. And while you're working on the little goal, everything will start moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. And looking back now, it was those series of little decisions and those little goals that you would help me with that then would create ultimate change. So there's a question here from Sarah, and I might actually unmute her, and she's going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe she's unmuting me. But, you're up, Cauliflower. Over
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, good. I won't put my camera on. My question, you were talking on the weekend about fear, and I can't even really remember whether or not it was like a throwaway comment or it was just that whole concept of sort of like becoming friends with your fear. And I think I was wondering, like, what like practical things do you think that you can do or tools you can use, like, to make fear not scary? Does that make sense? Like,
no, it does. It makes complete sense.
Yeah.
It's interesting because this all came about to me when I was teaching, and I was working in some schools with some Year 5, 6 students, and we were looking at fear and we were talking a lot about it. And I started to do some research on it and started to look at it. And what had happened was that we became fearful of fear.
Yes.
So, and what we stopped thinking about was that fear actually was one of our life tools. And it's something that informs us when something's not feeling right, when we're unsure about something, when we're not really 100% okay with where everything is going and feeling. So by becoming a friend and using it as a tool, it actually allows for you to get a better understanding of those things that are making you scared. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to stop being scared or fearful of those things, but it means that your strategies that you put into place for helping you overcome or not letting that fear barricade you from progressing forward is going to be less. You're still going to walk with your fear rather than have your fear sit in front of you and stop you from getting anywhere. And the easiest way to do that, once again, is to write down those things that you're fearful of, and instead of running away from them, go to them, because 9 times out of 10 it'll come down to the experiences in your life that created insecurities, and those insecurities will be tied into how you feel about yourself and your whole belief systems. And that goes way back into childhood. It's probably another session, but that goes way back into childhood. But by being very aware of the power that fear has to paralyze or propel. When we're in very fearful situations, say for example, we have a job interview and we're so fearful that we're not going to get the job or we're going to get the job. We've got 2 choices. We can use the fear to propel us forward, to get cemented in with ourselves, to understand that the fear is telling us this is important. I don't want to muck this up. I want this to be successful. I want to go in there. Or the fear can come in and completely paralyze us so that we feel like we're failed. And so by choosing to actually address the fear and acknowledge it as being something that is important to direct us into the future, it doesn't become a paralyzing thing, apart from snakes. I'm sorry, I'm never going to get over those. Never in a million years. I can't even look at them. But that's a different kind of fear because they might bite me. But in terms of fear, it really comes down to this idea of that fear becoming your friend, because it can inform you and help you then make decisions on the choices, actions that you're going to take to help you move through the change and move through the situations.
Cool. Love it.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you. We've got another question here, and this is a fantastic question from Vicky, and I'll unmute you in a sec, Vic. It's around breaking down self-sabotage, and I think this is definitely one that needs to be spoken about. So I've unmuted you, Hun, if you wanted to ask Sonita the question.
Hi, Sonita. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you.
So reflecting on my past of late, I've come to the realization that I will make conscious decisions to not move forward with a goal. So it's almost like I make a goal, or I set the goal, and it'll take me like 2 or 3 goes until I go, enough is enough. I'm going to go for it. I'm trying to understand my behaviors in why I do that. Is it because I'm not clear on the end result? Or do you think it's something to do with fear or limiting beliefs or my previous stories that I'm telling myself? I'm just trying to drill down of why I keep making the same errors in different parts of my life, but then I break through perhaps after I've banged my head against the wall a couple of times. I get there in the end and I propel forward, and then I get to the next big change that I need to make, and I almost feel like I just let myself down.
A lot of the self-sabotage, it does come from a fear of the outcome. So it becomes outcome-based, and fear of sometimes it's not really about feeling worthy, but a lot of the time people will fear the idea of being successful, but also being not successful. And in order not to feel disappointment, we then can then self-sabotage, particularly if that's become something that has driven, or there's been an incident in the past that's come up for us that has challenged our whole belief system in ourselves. So the whole self-sabotage thing is I always take the word sabotage out and I say to myself, why are you blocking you? Why are you blocking you? Why are you blocking your happiness? Why are you blocking your success? And then I start to name the things that are being blocked, that are working, because it allows me, it allows me to then be able to identify what it is in that area that is limiting me. And 9 times out of 10, for me in particular, it will come down to that I am so afraid of a couple of things. 1 is being judged. 2 is having that massive disappointment that things don't work out the way that I want to. And number 3, which is my biggest thing in self-sabotage, is failure. So I sabotage or block myself and fail in order not to feel the disappointment of not hitting targets. So, and once again, you'll get to a point where you go, look, that's it, I'm not doing this anymore, because it becomes too toxic for you. And also your change, your perception, your growth, every time you knocked your head on the wall, even though you felt like you weren't doing anything, you were putting cracks in that wall. You were breaking that wall down. It may not have been a smash, but it was certainly breaking it down and getting rid of old patterns of behaviour, which to me comes about through, once again, it all goes back to fear. It all goes back to that fear, and you've got to identify what it is that you're fearful of that outcome. It'll always be outcome based, and a lot of the time it's about disappointment. With the worthiness side of things, sometimes when we feel like we're not worthy, we tend to hold ourselves back because we don't want people, or if the outcome, once again, if the outcome isn't what we wanted, it reinforces to us, oh, you're not worthy. But that's not what it's doing. What it's actually doing is saying to you, do you really want this? Is this what you want? And if you want it, then go out and get it. But know that you know, these blocks are coming in place. When I was trying to work out why my scripts weren't going anywhere. And for the life of me, I couldn't work it out. Everybody loved them. They were going to places. They were going everywhere. And I went and saw one of my girls who's an incredible healer. And I said to her, what is it? She said, you're not letting it. And I go, don't be crazy. Why would I do such a stupid thing like that? And I couldn't believe it. And I walked out, had a bit of a think about it, and she was right. I was the one that was holding everything back because I was so afraid that they were going to tell me I wasn't good enough, that my work wasn't good enough, that I was going to fail, and that all I'd hear was no, 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 no. And that classic case of rejection as well, which is why we don't want to take the risk and put ourselves out there. But we self-sabotage because it's easier than actually admitting that, hey, look, I'm terrified and I don't really know what I'm doing, but I don't want to do this anymore. So even though you've hit the wall a couple of times before you get through, just think of it a different way, which is going to help with that behaviour, that you cracked the wall every time you hit it. And in the end, you powered your way through. And that's a massive, massive achievement. So well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thing, isn't it? Behaviours.
Oh, it's one of the human mind and emotions is just a navigation minefield. And it takes years and years, and experience is your best teacher. You know what it is inside you intuitively. Listen to that. Listen to know what it is that you know you need to do, because that's going to give you the power to keep pushing through and to not give up. The trick is to not give up.
Thank you. Thanks, Sonita.
Awesome. You're welcome. You're welcome.
I think that will have helped a lot of people on the call. Last question that we will take is from Jennifer. I'm just going to unmute you. I love this statement that you've just written here. They say, elephants never forget. What methods and tools do you use to leave issues from the past in the past and move forward? So unmuting you now, Jennifer.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, how you going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, I was just wanting to know what methods you would use to, I guess, move past things that you get caught up in the past and things, and making sure that don't forget them when you bring them up, probably at times when you shouldn't.
Yeah. It's funny, a lot of that happens in our close personal relationships. And this is one of the areas that I struggle with a lot is, if something is done to me, I find it very hard I can forget about it, but I can forgive it, but I find it very hard to forget about it, and it eats away at me for a long time. It's a difficult one because when we go through things, they can leave scars, and it's usually the scars that will get reignited as we move into new situations. So I don't believe that you can ever completely leave things in the past, because as we move through life, if a similar situation comes up, your memory will automatically take you back to that point of time and reignite anything left in there or unresolved. So the process then becomes about separating the two incidences and dealing with it in a way that helps you to understand the situation, not from their perspective, but from you. It cannot be about anybody else. It must be about you. Why am I holding on to this? Why am I not letting this go? Why do I feel the need to go back and revisit? Is it about that person or is it about me? Am I not feeling like I'm important enough? Or, what changes do I need to do in order to not feel that way again? And it is really, really hard leaving the past where it is, because it makes up so much of who we are. Our choices, our decisions, everything define us. So, especially those big things, forgiveness of past is massive. A lot of people that come and see me have a lot of difficulty moving on from broken relationships, or making that decision to change that situation so that it doesn't keep on reigniting. And if it's reigniting, why is it coming back all the time? What is it that I'm not learning? What is it that I am not rethinking? What is it that I'm not doing differently? And when you start to break it down like that, it has to be about you, and it can't be externalized into that situation or the person that it involved. It has to come back to you. So, for example, for me, I have an incredible ability to attract people that, especially friends, that don't probably regard me as their friend. They see me as this person that can give them positivity and love and guidance, and so they kind of latch on to me, all for the wrong reasons. But me being me is very open, so I'll let anybody in and I'll be your friend, and when I'm your friend for life. So I kept on attracting these people that were constantly letting me down, constantly making me feel like I'm not doing enough for them. So I had to start thinking about, all the past issues. Why is this reoccurring? Why is this coming? Why is this person coming back in? And it really came down to nothing to do with them and everything to do with me. And one of the things that I realized is that we can't ask the question of, why does it keep, how can we leave it in the past? It's more about, what is it that's blocking me from moving to the future? What am I doing to not allow me to leave that there? And usually that will come back to something that's unresolved, and something that is emotionally unresolved and mentally unresolved rather than physically unresolved. And it'll always come back to a relationship one. It's a tricky one. It's something that will be different from every single person, because some people can move on quite quickly, particularly men. They move on very quickly. Women tend to stew and procrastinate and churn, and I'll rip myself to pieces for a week, knowing that after a week, though, I would have moved on from it because I've processed it and lived through the uncomfortableness of that change, but also being very clear and honest with myself about what it was that I was happy with, what wasn't I happy with. Okay, what are we going to do differently? But this is all about self-talk, and this is all about something that's a process that you have to work on over time, because a lot of us are never taught how to leave things in the past. We're not even from a young age. It's only now starting to be taught to kids because we're becoming more self-aware. So it's a tricky one. That one's a tricky one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, beautiful Jen. All right, ladies, we are almost finished up because it is Sonita's birthday, and she's definitely given us everything that she's had tonight. She's on fire. It must be just this new level for 45. One, I guess, what I'd love to ask just as we finish, thank you for always encouraging me to follow my dreams. What is the next chapter going to look like for you and the family? It's a personal question, but you know, having that vision, I see you as this incredible mother and pillar of strength and love for your children. And yes, for so many of us that you help and you know, being that light for so many. But what does the next chapter really look like for you, Sonita?
So this has come about also through a lot of the decisions to sell the house. Did you see him? They're looking. That's Noah. So he probably sticking his head back. For us, it's about breaking free of the house and starting a new beginning. One of the things that I've had in my mind, and I've had in my mind for 5 years and even longer than that, is basically we would like to move overseas and begin a brand new beginning over there, doing what I love, which is inspiring and touching people through my writing, whether or not that's movies, whether or not that's books, whether or not it's speaking, but really taking it to that next level and evolving my skills in a different way than I can here. The other end of that too is providing my kids with opportunities that they just can't get here. Noah is really keen to explore and take his basketball to whichever level he can take it to. He can't necessarily do that here, so it supports the idea of where I want to go. Are you right? Going up a bit. Right. So the next chapter is about really focusing on inspiring, on being able to connect with the idea of where I want my career to go and tying that into where my family needs. Because I've spent the last 3 years focused very much on family, of rebuilding our lives, rebuilding our unit, becoming connected in ways that we haven't before, the love and support, the understanding that, you know, we make the sacrifices, that we have this goal. So they're very aware of me wanting to move overseas, and they're fully in support of that because they understand on some deep level that that's where we need to be. So, you know, that's been the dream for a while. And also, you know, really focusing on the writing, the movies, the doing more things like this, being able to talk to people, being able to sit and have discussions and watch people achieve their dreams, and being able to have that running simultaneously to that. You know, the other thing is that for a long time I wasn't ready for a relationship. I felt like my plate was so full that I was emotionally exhausted, and I had 3 children that needed me 100%, and we weren't ready. All of us, were not ready to invite anybody into our life. We're now at a stage where we're ready to invite someone in, and that's exciting for us because we're going to find that person soon. And when that person joins us, it will complete the family once again, because we've moved from being a family to being a different kind of family to now coming back to this. So there's lots of different things there, but they're the goals for now, is to really start looking towards continuing to build that. But the main goal for me too is I want to show my children that if you work hard, that if you never give up and you persevere and you're passionate and you believe, you can achieve anything. Even if everybody tells you you can't, even if you hear 20,000 no's, you get back up again and you do it. You rework it, you think about it again. And by them watching me do that, they have an incredible ability to be able to push themselves beyond what even they think they can. And that's a massive inspiration for me too. So that's the other thing too. It's this continual desire for all of us to collectively reach our goals, but to individually reach our goals, and being able to be a part of that for each other. That's exciting. And whether or not we do it here in Australia, our journey's going to take us wherever, and it's going to be okay. And I think for the first time in a long time, we're happy and looking forward to the things to come rather than being afraid of it not happening. We now have this belief that it will. So life, you know, is good. It's moving. It's hard. but it's, you know, at the same time it's really rewarding. So that's where the plan is. First I've got to sell a house. Work it all out from there. But, you know, you just never know. And this is the thing that everybody, you know, please remember this. You don't know when you get up in the morning what amazing miracle or opportunity is waiting there for you. And if you're too busy thinking too far into the future to not live in the now, you're going to miss that. You're going to miss those opportunities. And if you got 50 no's, it's only going to take one yes. And you have to believe that the yes is there. You've just got to find it. So keep working at it and don't give up, because you're the one that's going to be the person that you have to work on, not anybody else. And you can't change external environments. The only thing that you've got control of is you, unless you've got kids. Oh, you've got to look after them a little bit too.
Incredible. Absolutely amazing. I'm just going to pop my screen back up here so that I can just show the girls how to contact you if they would love to have a session. And just for those of you that are overseas or interstate, or even regional, you know, Sonita can actually do a session with you just like this over Skype, and, you know, tune in that way. So it's limitless. You know, you can connect with her from all over the world. And as I said, she is a mentor of mine, a beautiful friend. And, you know, I'm just so grateful for your love and support and vision for what's possible for our She community as well.
Oh, and also you girls are in for such a treat with what Em's got planned for you with this, you know, the She community. And it's funny, do you remember I told you about this about a year ago that we talked about it?
Yes.
And we said, and I kept talking, I'm so happy that it's here. And this is where it is. This is what it looked like. So it's so exciting. And you guys are in for such a treat. You really are. I'm so excited to watch this unfold. I'm so excited to have been a part of it. And I'll continue to be a part of it in whatever capacity. But this is just exciting. So thank you so much, Em. You're just an angel. When people ask me, you know, who's Emily, I just go, well, firstly, I just have to say she's an angel. And even Amelia just is in love with you. She's my middle daughter. She loves you. She just goes, oh, Emily, Mum, she's so beautiful. She's gorgeous. So, you know, because she said actually, it was funny because they said, Mum, next time you go and see Emily and have coffee with her, can we come? I said, I'm sure she won't mind.
What's the date? We'll go down to Warrandyte, our favourite place in the world.
Yes.
Beautiful
down there.
Enjoy your birthday.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing it with us, and it's just
very welcome.
Amazing. So, ladies,
thank you.
You know, let's all send Sonita some love, and just right now, like, take a big breath in and absolutely, like, send her.
Thank you.
She will feel that. So happy birthday! Thank you again.
You're very welcome.
Just been incredible. So have a beautiful night, ladies, and we'll talk to you really, really soon. So thank you so much.
Bye. See ya. Oh, my ears.
Oh, how was it? Oh, you still on it. Oops. Sorry.
That was Jamie.
Oh, it's Jamie. I can't see.
There she is. She's here.
I
can't see.
Hang on. Just let me get this back up. Hang on.
Oh,
I can see Jamie. Do you want to go grab Noah and Amelia? I think they're upstairs.
Noah, Amelia.
They'll come and say hello.
Come say hi.
Noah made sure that I had everything I needed, including my tea. So he's very. But you can meet them. They're coming down now.
Did you go on Sunday, Jay?
Well, we did not go very well.
No.
No.
So here you go. This is Amelia.
Hi.
And Noah is hiding. Come here. Come here. Say hi. Hi.
Do you remember when we went on our coffee date?
Yes, we were down at Warrandyte.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
You had pancakes that day.
Yes, and peanut butter in the middle. I remember that part.
And milkshakes too.
I think we should go out for coffee again soon.
Oh, they'll be into that. They'll make the coffee, milkshakes, pancakes. Absolutely.
Actually, I'm going to bring some presents over for you guys on the weekend. Some special
I forgot to tell everybody that I was starting the Herbalife little journey. I'm so looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. So I know, yay! Thanks, Sonita. So yes, we're starting that journey. I've been thinking about it for ages, and I just said to Em the other day, "Yeah, you can go."
Okay, so wait, could they see us scrolling?
Yeah, they could.
Like, could they?
You can still see me.
I can see you, and there's actually ladies in Canada that can see you. So that's exciting. I'm so looking forward to it. But thank you. I just cannot wait. I actually went for a run today, so it was good. It felt good. I haven't done it in a long time, but it was nice to get back out there and just clear that head. So it was good. But thank you all so much, and I'll sign off now because these guys are now over not having me around to bring me back again. All right, see ya. Cheering Mum on her birthday, and we'll see you soon.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.